Welcome to a new daily top AskReddit video. Today's topic:
what's something considered to be dumb but actually is a sign of intelligence? Asking questions to help clarify things you don't understand. I'd rather ask stupid questions than make stupid mistakes, and that's what I tell my staff. I don't know enough about that to have an opinion. Yep, especially with some political topics. But I've noticed a lot of people think themselves experts in scientific topics now. My father-in-law is 100% comfortable disputing the world's foremost experts in atmospheric science and epidemiology despite having exactly 0 minutes of education on either subject. Admitting when you don't know something instead of trying to blag it. On that note, I had to look up blag. For anyone else, like me, who is also unfamiliar, blag something, British English, informal, to persuade somebody to give you something, or to let you do something, by talking to them in a clever way. I blagged some tickets for the game. Quote, using words that are easy to understand or dumb, so the other person understands you when you explain something. My best friend and I often have this debate. Every so often I'll use a word and he will say, "That's not something usually in your vocabulary." Getting tired of this insult, because he uses it as an insult, I told him that the best speeches, the most memorable speeches, they don't use big words, they use common everyday words that most people understand. There is zero point in using big words constantly to make yourself sound smart when the people you're talking to don't know the word. All you're doing is making the person you're talking to feel dumb, which may explain why I'm your only friend. Sometimes precision in speech matters, potentially making lesser-known words useful. But other times it's just some asshole saying, utilize, instead of, use. Self-doubt. Intelligent people examine and re-examine everything. Dumb people are confident and satisfied with the first thing they thought. I agree with this one. Many believe that you need to react quickly and give an immediate answer. On the contrary, taking a few seconds to think before answer shows reflection. Hilarious, these days it seems the faster the talker the better. I encounter this so often, people do not think I understood what they said, when I am thinking of a measured, thoughtful response. Changing your mind based on new facts and information. Someone on here recently said, "I like being right. I like being right so much just that when I get better information, I change my mind." This is how intelligence should work. Keeping one's mouth shut. Better to remain silent and be thought a fool than to open it and have all doubts removed. Mispronouncing words because you've only read them in a book. For one thing, it means you actually read. So this happens not only to ESL people. In 9th grade, I took an endless amount of shit from a classmate who has since become a lifelong friend for mispronouncing gazebo as gazebo. My parents nearly died the first time I tried to pronounce rendezvous. Quote, don't feel bad. I got shit from my GF in college for pronouncing preface. Puns. They're generally understood as low effort and a lesser form of humor, but in my experience the people who enjoy them the most have a playful relationship to language that correlates with intelligence and literacy. Plus, serial punners are in on the joke about how grown-worthy their humor is, so there's a meta layer to making a particularly awful pun and seeing everyone's eyes roll all the way back into their heads. One of the most satisfying parts of making a pun is the groans you get from the audience. I used to hate puns, but they've grown on me too. Jokes are for the audience's amusement, puns are for my own. My mom and I were walking down an outdoor hallway with cascading flowers as a privacy screen. I said something about using them as a shower curtain for an outdoor shower. At the exact same time, we both blurted out flower curtain and belly laughed. There was a man behind us who stopped us later to say how wholesome we were and he loved the banter. Using simple language when speaking. Since English is my second language, I tend to use simple words and it boosts my confidence when I read this comment, and learning a language is hard. Exactly. The point is to get your message across in a meaningful and simple way. And you're learning English, which is a very complex and messy language, so great job. Changing your mind when presented with new, legitimate evidence showing your current stance is incorrect in some manner. Too many people seem to think changing your mind for any reason, much less a considered one, is dumb or weak-minded. Really, re-evaluating what you think and believe based on new information is the smartest thing a person can do. Apologize and take the first step. Well shit, I only apologize if it's my fault. Apologizing when it's not your fault can be a calculated decision to move forward. But only use it when the other person isn't necessarily wrong either. Thanking someone for getting corrected. Asking a lot of questions. People think it's annoying, but it's how you actually lean and understand things. Going to add listening to, and thinking about, answers to your questions as well. Just asking does nothing if you don't also actively engage with the answers. I've bumped into situations where an intelligent person uses what-if scenarios to ponder on a subject, and someone I'd consider less intelligent just goes, but that's not how it is. I'm willing to bet the second person mentioned would consider the first one dumb for thinking like that. This is a great one and resonated with me. I've been in many meetings like this, where I propose a change or an idea, and someone shuts it down because it's not how things are currently, as if I didn't know this. I have learned that many people genuinely don't have the capacity for abstract thought. They can't do the what-if scenarios, even senior leaders. Instead, I have learned I need to just go ahead and do it as a prototype, and then walk them through the new concept. Then you still get the, but that's not what we do now. What you are proposing would mean slightly modifying Jim's current job. Yes, but the flip side is it would double productivity for 10 other staff. People who say, but that's not how it is, too, what-if questions, which are entirely hypothetical, make me so fucking mad I can't even. Emotional intelligence, it gets treated secondary to academic intelligence, but those with emotional intelligence can be truly valuable in negotiations. I feel like the defining skill of emotional intelligence is when to ask how people are feeling versus when to assume how they are feeling. You lean too much into either one and people don't feel like talking to you anymore. One of my best friends is, academically, probably around a 3rd or 4th grade level. But he is the smartest people person I know. If he has input on a social interaction, says he likes or doesn't like someone new we just met, or pipes up about something that happened, I shut up and listen. He's helped me grow a lot in my interpersonal skills over the years, and I in no small part credit my reinventing of self to his guidance. I kept my angsty teenage asshole behavior well into my 20s and struggled to better myself. Being able to appreciate simplicity. According to this thread, everything is a sign of intelligence. Most of the stuff is just good manners and has nothing to do with intelligence. Saying, I don't know, or, yes I was wrong. Waiting your turn before giving your piece. Also staying quiet and just listening to the conversation. I think some people assume that this means you don't understand what's going on, but a lot of the time it's the unintelligent ones yapping about stuff they don't understand, especially whilst interrupting and speaking over someone. Not having opinions on everything, and what opinions you do have are often nuanced and not rigid or strictly ideological. Seeming aloof. Highly intelligent people stay in their heads a lot. Trying to figure out how simple things work. Question something that have been a long-standing thing, where things came from, how it started become a long-standing thing, and wonder if it is still relevant, efficient by modern-day standard and more. The other things is simply saying, I don't know, or, I don't understand, which you really mean it. Speaking without absolute confidence, and hinting the possibility of being wrong, incorrect, failing a risk. Not immediately jumping on any bandwagon. The bandwagons will insult the people who stop and wait for information. Not following the news. Most people consider following the news as something that makes them smart. Most news is just entertainment and doesn't impact your life in a way you can affect. Disagree with this really. It's important to keep abreast of what's going on in the world. Yes, sometimes, well, a lot of the time really, what's going on in the world can be horrible, and I do agree it's good for your mental health to take a break from it from time to time. But, generally you can learn so much from even the smallest news report. What conditions are like in different parts of the world, nuances of world politics, issues you hadn't really thought about at all, and so on. I would say that if you're counting Fox News as your news, then perhaps that is more like entertainment and quite heavily biased, but there are some news sources out there that are a lot more professional, like BBC TV News. Yes, I know that no news sources are without bias, but for instance, generally their reports about major world events like the Ukraine war are highly informative, in-depth and well-researched, with significant fact-checking and not just presenting opinion as fact. Imagine if during COVID, everyone just took the attitude of ignoring the news, then we wouldn't know what latest restrictions, financial compensations etc. were to be that 100% had an effect on our day-to-day lives. That's how we got Trump. How little news do you have to see to not be aware that Trump is deeply evil? Lag at the news is just biased propaganda. Do your own research. Look at pros and cons. Do you do that, or are you indifferent? Genuine question. Biased propaganda. My dad and brother used to say it without the ed, but it's an adjective. They both insisted I was wrong until the day they died. Closing parenthesis. How do you do your own research? There is a massive global network of journalists able to get boots on the ground everywhere for first-hand eyewitness accounts with photo and video evidence of anything newsworthy. You're claiming to be more capable than all of them combined. That's not smart, it's just contrarian. Mispronounced words. Often it means the speaker learned the word through reading so has no guide to enunciate. Having the courage to ask dumb questions. I've seen this over and over again. Smart people, when thinking in groups, tend to signal their intelligence by asking complicated questions and dismissing simple questions. This tends to hide very simple and obvious problems. Witty humor. Who thinks wit is dumb? A lot of times, being quiet and humble is mistaken for lack of intelligence. I've found that to be quite the opposite. Taking a longer than usual pause before answering a question. In a job interview once I replied, "I'm not nervous, I just want to think about that for a second." Afterwards I was told that stood out to the interviewer. Listening instead of talking over others constantly. Listening is considered a sign of being dumb. They say that sarcasm is the lowest form of wit, but it's hilarious. Tell the Germans that. I thought it was that puns are the lowest form of wit. Love me some sarcasm.